Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Viva La Resistance here on Dedicated to Art. I am your host for the evening, Nico Regoli, and I'm joined, as always, by Christopher Dohmen and Kees Cornelisse. First, Chris, how are you doing tonight, good sir? Okay, and Kees, I don't know what time of day it is where you live, but how you doing?
5:30 a.m. Thanks for asking.
All right. So we're just going to wing it here then. Okay.
What's the episode? What happened?
So the episode title for this week, episode 15, is The New Trooper. And basically it revolves mostly around the two kids from earlier in the season, Kel and Eila, who are fugitives from a planet that the First Order basically decimated. And so when we start this episode, they are basically just fishing off of one of the bottom decks, enjoying themselves because there aren't that many ways to enjoy yourself these days on the Colossus because the First Order is everywhere, including on the dock where they were fishing. A trooper CS515 asks these children for their IDs. They don't have any. Trooper is about to take them into custody. They fight him off. Trooper gets knocked unconscious. Kids are like, oh no, we have an unconscious stormtrooper on our hands, and we're wanted by the First Order. Let's go to Kaz and see if he can help us. And as we join our regular crew of Star Wars Resistance, they are having a Thanksgiving-level political discussion about the merits of the First Order having a presence on the Colossus. And so let's just go to you guys. Chris, first to you. How do you feel about where we are now with the First Order having this presence on the Colossus, and also we now understand more of the motivations of why our main cast feels certain ways about that presence on the Colossus?
You literally took the example that I was thinking about using, where the First Order has kind of become the water cooler topic around everybody on the Colossus, and it's very clear to see that it's a very small minority who are actually in support of the First Order being there, and especially some of the scenes with Tam, because of what we know from the movies, you just want to grab her, smack some sense into her, and be like, no, these are terrible people. We should not be supporting them. But on the other hand, once she explains her backstory of her grandfather worked for the Empire and it was the only way that he was able to get by, it's like, I get that. But the Empire was at least decent at covering up how terrible they were. The First Order gives no craps.
Yes, and Case, same question to you.
Well, I would say that there's, we of course know there is a difference between the Empire and the First Order, but with the First Order, they are at least trying to cover up towards the people on the Colossus what they are. But of course, word of mouth has already spread on them what they are, because of the children that we saw in the episode. Because that's, if you remember the Children from Tahar episode, that was the entire plot of that episode, where they are scared of the First Order. Apparently, Kylo Ren came with troops there to decimate everyone on their planet. So those kids have seen that, have experienced that, and now they tell that to Tam in this episode, which actually makes Tam realize, oh, maybe they're not that great. Because Tam, I get why she thinks what she thinks, but she does need to know what they are. And of course, we know stuff from the movies, but the movies haven't happened yet at this point. So it just really depends on your point. Really depends on your point of view, when you're born and when you live and how you've lived in this galaxy. Because if you know nothing else besides a certain lifestyle, then ignorance is bliss, as they say.
And I was about to say, to piggyback off that for just 2 seconds, I really appreciate how even though the kids who survived their horror on Tahar, they tell Tam what happened, she still has that moment of, well,
why? Why did they do that?
I'm sure they had a reason for it. Like, she has this doubt of their own testimony. It's like, I'm sorry, but why would you not believe those kids? So, yeah.
And
it's one of those things where I really appreciate that moment, because it just adds more of a gray area to a topic that should be very black and white, but I'm glad that the writers are smart enough to include a gray area.
And this is something that a lot of the newer Star Wars stories have been incorporating, is they're trying to show that, hey, from a certain point of view, they're hammering it in from the point of view of, like, people on the Empire side. They thought they were the good guys for the longest time. Like, if you look at the Inferno Squad book and Star Wars Battlefront 2's plot, Iden Versio, she thought for the longest time that she was on the side of good. And then it took something in her to realize, like, she had to have that moment of realization of, like, oh, I should really rethink a lot of my decisions in life. And, so that's why it makes sense for Tam to question, okay, there has to be a reason for this. They couldn't have just done this because they were monsters. But getting back to the plot, Tam, at the time of when the kids come asking Kaz for help, she is still under the belief that, like, oh, you're just bad-mouthing me for the sake of bad-mouthing me. Like, I'm apparently allowed to like the First Order, and that makes me a bad person. Oh, well. But so the kids ask for Kaz and Niku's help. Tam tags along because she's like, you've basically involved me in this now, so I might as well help. The kids show the crew, hey, we have this unconscious stormtrooper here. Tam's first instinct is to turn themselves in because she's still of the mindset that, like, nothing bad's going to happen. Like, if we just follow the law as is, we'll be fine. And Kaz and Niku both realize, don't listen to her. Let's hide this body, and let's figure out what we're going to do next. Yes.
Which,
yes.
Seriously, Nico's funny moments are just getting better and better. I love him.
Like, not only did he knock him out with a wrench, but he also later tased him to unconsciousness. Like this is old school Looney Tunes stuff that they're putting this poor stormtrooper through. But anyway, so
speaking of real fast, shouldn't that fall down the stairs have killed that trooper? Let's just be real here.
Yeah, those bumps on the head, yeah, probably. Unless those helmets are actually good, but we've seen the movies, those helmets do nothing.
And also, the way they had him propped up on BB-8's head, like, the human spine is not meant to bend that way.
No,
so
it is not.
Like, this is a crash course on everything you should not do if you want to work in a medical profession. They take the trooper to the turtle people, and Kaz comes up with a brilliant idea of, like, let's make sure the trooper didn't call in the incident before he was knocked unconscious. I'm going to take his armor. I'm going to go to where they log in all the intel for the day, the census data, and I'm just going to erase it. So he puts on the armor, and he ends
Chaos ensues.
Yes, chaos ensues, because he ends up getting roped in with two other troopers. He
meets
yes.
BB-9E.
he meets BB-9E, who almost
BB-9E
gets in
is
trouble.
Smart.
Yes.
That's actually nice, and that's actually consistent with the Last Jedi, where BB-9E is no fool. He knows what's up. He does it in the Last Jedi, and he did it again in this episode. So that's nice to see. And then Kaz is having the hardest time battling off this little astromech coming at him.
Yes, he literally has to take off the droid's head and throw it to him, throw it out like a game.
You want your head? You want your head? Go fetch.
Yeah.
Sheliday.
Sheliday, thank you very much. So Kaz gets the census data, realizes the trooper never called it in. But he takes a data rod anyway to figure out what intel the First Order has on everything going on in the Colossus. And before Kaz gets to deliver that to Yeager, he gets roped into Captain Doza's office. And we see that Captain Doza and Commander Pyre, it's really becoming a struggle for power between these two. No matter how peaceful they are when they're having conversations, like Doza knows, you're stepping on my turf, dog. Stay away. Like, I peed here first. This is my hydrant. You stay away.
I'm still going with the dog references, but you know what? Let's keep it rolling.
Yes. Yeah. But basically, Pyre, he asks Kaz, who's still posing as CS515 for intel. Kaz doesn't sound like he knows how to talk like a trooper. Pyre immediately picks up on it, and he basically tells the other troops, take him to get reprogrammed, mind wipe, everything. And Kaz is like, nope! Blasts the elevator, runs as fast as he can, and they manage to get the actual trooper back in the armor in time. And this poor trooper who's already been through a lot, he's now getting his mind wiped. And Kaz, he's safe. The kids are safe. Kaz takes the data rod to Yeager, and they realize, here are all the planets that the First Order is targeting, and they want to use the Colossus as...
And finally, for the first time in the show, we get the answer that at least I've been waiting for since the very first episode. Why does the First Order need the Colossus? Finally.
Yes.
I was waiting for this, and finally we have the answer. That was like probably the most satisfying thing about the entire episode.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. And what I also really admired about the episode, at least with the ending or towards the ending, there's a little moment that when Kaz is still in disguise and he's walking up to Doza's office, and okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I
so
thank you for that.
There's ways to blow your cover, and then there's ways to really blow your cover. So when you're walking past the room of a girl you have a crush on, and you are in stormtrooper attire, the very people that she hates, don't wave at her, because that's how you get questions raised. So
my overall thoughts on the episode is it was good. It had some good moments. It was funny, all right. My biggest issue, though, was that it was kind of just Kaz mumbling and fumbling around as this stormtrooper. Mostly due to the fact that they can't yet get into the stuff that we're going to get into in the next episodes, because they're probably the next 2 episodes are the last 2 episodes of this season. I felt it was a step back for Kaz, and considering that I loved his growth so much, I was not the biggest fan of that in this episode.
Chris, your final thoughts.
I'm actually kind of in a similar boat with Case, because story-wise, this episode actually did do a lot. It gave us a lot of backstory in the details, and I admire the hell out of it for that. But just like with Case, it did frustrate me to see Kaz not take a huge step back, but a noticeable one.
And as for my final thoughts, I will agree that Kaz took a bit of a step back. And the best justification I have for it is just not every day is going to be a good day. He was thrown a lot of crazy scenarios at once. This is probably something he never thought he would have to do when he signed up for the spy job, cover for a bunch of kids who had knocked a stormtrooper unconscious. You can't really plan for kids doing something like that. It's just one of those things that you kind of have.
Unless you're a parent.
Good point. This was definitely another episode where Nico shined, and he's growing as the comic relief. Who knows? He might get something more serious to do towards the end of the season, but for now, he's keeping us in good spirits when it seems like
he's keeping us entertained.
He's keeping us entertained when it seems like there's a lot of drama slowly but surely coming into the forefront. Tam, I like that she's realizing, okay, maybe I need to change my way of thinking a little bit, but I also like that she's still kind of scared to change her way of thinking, so she's trying to find reasons in her brain to justify. Good, but not great episode in the grand scheme of things. But anyway, so those are our thoughts on the new Trooper. Next week's title is The Core Problem, which leads me to believe that this is going to have something to do with like the power core of the Colossus, because why else would that be the title?
Well, or the core worlds.
Core worlds, indeed.
Or the core of this world that the Colossus is on. Maybe.
So,
I'm just thinking Huston Prime.
So Aaron Eckhart's gonna make an appearance out of nowhere.
Oh God, no, not that movie.
This has been Viva La Resistance. Kees, where can the good people of the internet find you?
People can find me on Twitter at Dutch Movie Guy, on Letterboxd and Facebook, Kees Cornelisse, and competing in the Brooklynville Invitational on Multiplex Entertainment with my partner Chris against the Arkham Knights soon, whenever that gets uploaded, and in a TV fandom final where I should not be in because I beat this guy.
Chris, where can the good people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, and Letterboxd at Skywalker Dohmen. You guys can follow this very channel on Twitter and Instagram at D2H Channel. Please like our Facebook page, and guys, go to my personal YouTube page. Do me a favor. Check out my clickbait soundbite for Collider Live, and check out my my newest single, "Don't Give Up," written for people struggling with mental health and depression. Yeah.
And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Regoli. That's NicoSuaveRegoli. You can find me right here on Dedicated to Art. Everywhere that Chris said you can find Dedicated to Art. You can find me over on Combat Wrestling Network with Hunter Chambliss, Matthew Rosa, and Andrew Hayes and Harley Bork. And you can find me over on Multiplex Entertainment. That's the name of the Facebook group, and the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is Multiplex Entertainment Network. The TeePublic is just Multiplex. Buy our awesome shirts. This is the last week before I head off to Penn State's Thawne event. So again, you've got only a few days left to donate to my donor box if you want to. So click that link in the description below. Chris, make sure there's a link in the description below. And yeah, I thought I had something more to say, but I forgot. So Vive la Resistance.
And may the force be with you always.
Yeah!